Hi everybody, it's Deanna with toolsofenergyprotection.com, your energy shift expert, where I teach highly sensitive people and highly intuitive people how to shield their energy. It has been an absolute crazy day, and I just, what can I say? The energies are all over the place. They're challenging how we feel about ourselves. They're challenging how we feel about the world around us. Crazy stuff has been happening for me across the board with my electronics, the way that I engage in working with companies that I work with online in order to produce everything I do. It has just been absolute nuts. And I think one of the reasons it may be is because the holiday falls in the middle of the week on Wednesday. And that may be a reason that everything is just wiggy. Yes, my professional term, wiggy. So last time I did this broadcast on my laptop, and then I wasn't able to see the feed, and I couldn't see the questions and all that. So I am going over to on my laptop, my business page. That's why there's a reflection, so that I can actually see when people are jumping on and the questions, and we can get down to business. But anyway, pretty much lots of things are changing across the board. Some timely news, in case you're watching this, years later, is that Google Chrome changed the way that they are, excuse me, the Google Chrome changed the way that they're doing their header, or their toolbar, so that you can get better protection and blah, blah, blah. And then other companies that I have on a regular basis to help me produce the show and to bring my services to you, they were all changing their interfaces, and it was so much at once. And then the holiday coming up, and getting with family and friends and timing that all out, and working through space and time has just been hectic in itself. And then on top of it, some of the planetary energies are lining up and shaking things up again, as they do. If you've been following me for any period of time, you know that the universe will shake things up and then spew it out, or wait for things to settle. So the good news is that we are changing. The good news is that we're moving forward. The good news is crap, yes, I said it, is coming out. Like a wound that's been popped. It's coming out, the ooze, the junk. The not so good news is we really have to be in that moment and work through that stuff to let it go. Okay? That's the not so happy news. You have to be in a moment by moment presentation of time. Moment by moment. So, anyways, thank you all for the hearts and for joining me. Hi to Susan, Kiefer, hi to Susan Johnson, hi to Tanya, hi to Anna, hi to Nicole. Thank you all for joining me. It is so lovely to have you all aboard, and hopefully one day we'll have thousands watching. But for now, as many as come. So, hi Karen, a few housekeeping things for you before we get into today's topic, which is having spiritual freedom and knowing how God is talking to you. And just in case you can hear it in the background, my daughter is on her iPad and laughing, so at least you get a little joy if you can hear her. Anyway, so a little housekeeping upcoming. I'm going to be releasing, I had talked a while back about releasing something about self-love. And it's taken me a while to get those materials together, to really think about it, because the desired outcome is to bring to you something that will really help you in this time and space, and something that you can work through. So coming up in September, I'm going to be bringing together a group of people. I'll probably limit it to 30 because I want it to be more intimate. And I'm going to aim it mostly towards women, but if there's some guys that want to come and join us, that's fine too. And what the desired outcome is I'd like to work through some things with you that a lot of my clients have come to me lately, and I'm almost hearing the same story over and over. That's God's way of telling me it's time for me to do some transformational coaching and help people that are in the same spot. So things you might be thinking about is, why do you see the same person coming back over and over in your life? So if there's somebody negative or toxic and you booted them out of your life, you cut them off, you took the bolt cutters and chopped them off, or whatever you did, if you're seeing that person coming back into your life a year or 2 years later, there's a reason for that. There's an energy that has drawn them back. That's God's spirit or source drawing them back in your life to show you something, to teach you something. The other one is, why do you let that bother you? You know, if you have a person that comes back in your life and you thought you worked through it within yourself and you're like, I don't need that person in my life so much anymore, I'm good, and they come back and it bothers you, why? Okay? These are things that reflect back to you your ability with self-love or not self-love, or the degree to which you have it. The other one is, why do you get hurt by this person? Why do you allow this toxic person to hurt you when you know what they're doing, when you know what they're capable of, and you put up a shield and you're smiling and you're saying, I don't want you in my field anymore, but you're here, I can tolerate you for a little bit. Why? Why is it that you're still hurt by them? What button do they push and maybe not even know it? Okay, again, that comes back to the self-love. And then for others, they've told me that they've had toxic parent or parents, and because the way they feel about themselves and other family members, it creates a ramification in the family for generations. Sometimes it causes problems with inheritance, and it causes problems with emotional inheritance and closeness and all this other stuff. So those are things to think about in regard to self-love. And that'll be coming up in September, so I'm so excited. I have a little bit of time to bring it together, and then we'll announce and release the package and what that looks like. And we'll get together and we'll talk about self-love. We'll have some worksheets and work through releasing the toxicness from our lives, releasing our ability or our desire to have those toxic people around, and then how to shield ourselves from them. So if that's you, or you know somebody who could use that kind of help, make sure you share the video with them. If they don't get on live, they can watch it later, and also YouTube. So that is the topic that I wanted to cover very quickly before we get into what we're going to talk about tonight, which is, I'd like to talk about spiritual freedom. What is spiritual freedom, and how do you know if God, Spirit, or Source is talking to you, or are you talking to God? It's a big subject, and I want to kind of just skip over the top of it a little bit, and if you would give me some feedback on it, either private message me, put comments here below, let me know, because I'd really like to expand that topic, because I believe that I talk to God, and I believe that God talks back to me. And so one of the questions I get from people is, how do you know God's talking back to you? And the other day I saw a client who told me that she thought that she talked to God quite a bit, and she says he never talks back. So he's not active in my life. So I feel like I'm talking to someone or something that's not there or doesn't listen to me, which also is another issue of self-love, right? So something to think about is, how does God actually talk to people? How does he talk back? How does he communicate? How do you have a conversation with God, Spirit, or Source? Okay? So one of the things that you can do to learn more about what that looks like is, there's one of two ways you can go. One is old school, which looks like this. It's a canonized version of the Bible, and you can go look in there and find out where God talked to people in the Bible, because it's there for us to learn from, or our admonition, and you can see how God talked to people. Sometimes it's in dreams, sometimes it's in visions, Sometimes God will talk to a person who then gives you that message. So God will talk through other people if you're not able to communicate. So one of the ways that's near and dear to me that I'd like to cover, and I'm hoping that somebody watching will go, oh, that's what that was, and it will help them. So I'm going to share with you a couple of dreams that I had, because God talks to people in dreams. The Bible is full of dreams and visions where, well, I wouldn't say full of, I think there's about 7 instances, if I'm not mistaken, where God chose to talk to people through dreams or visions. Let me look at my source here. But I think it was, it may have been 9. Sorry, I don't have the exact number. But basically, God would talk to people in dreams. He talked to kings. He talked to a woman. He talked to different prophets. And sometimes there would, there'd be the visions. And so when we ask a question to God, when people tell me, God doesn't talk to me, well, let me just regress a minute and ask you, if you were praying either, on your knees or in your bed or whatever position you pray in, sometimes I drive and pray or talk and pray, what would happen if you said, God, why is my life the way it is? Why is my health so bad? Why don't I have a job right now? Or why do I make so little money? Or why do I feel like I can't have somebody in my life who loves me? Could you imagine just for a moment what would happen if you heard a big, booming male voice say, Susan, or Karen? I don't know about you, but I would probably faint or wet my pants. So having that conversation in a big booming voice, very theatric, probably won't happen for you. But what can happen, one of the ways that I've experienced, is God speaking to me in dreams or answering my prayers in my dream state. So if you have any questions while you're watching this and you want to put comments down below, or if you're watching this on a recording, you can ask questions and put comments below. I'll try to answer them as much as I can. So I'm going to share a little bit of my personal world inside of my head. I'm going to share a dream, which I don't do very often with the public, but I did want you to know that's one of the ways. So early on in my life, I was making a decision. And I was very afraid to make the decision because I was going from a place, hi Joe, I was going from a place of being uncomfortably comfortable. I was in a spot where I didn't want to be. It was very miserable, but I didn't see any way out of where I was. And believe me, I had tried every way I could possibly think of. I tried all kinds of things to get out of the miserable spot I was in, but I just couldn't make it. So I prayed about it, and I asked God, I'm like, how do I go forward in my situation? How do I get out of this toxic place that I find myself in? I'm so afraid. I don't know what's going to happen when I walk forward. I don't know if I'm going to fall flat on my face. Are you there for me? Of course, I knew God was there for me, but I'm, despondent. So that night, when I went to sleep, I found myself dreaming. And when I became, conscious that I was dreaming, on my left-hand side, I saw the beautiful mountainscape, just absolutely gorgeous. And I could see the mountains in the distance. They looked about this big from where I was, and it was green and lush, and then the mountains sticking up above it, just majestic and so beautiful. And then I looked from the mountains over to my right-hand side, and on my right-hand side, there was a cliff face, the edge of a cliff. And it was gray. I remember the rocks being kind of a gray color, and you know, it'll stick out a little bit with a little shelf on it, the edge of the cliff, and there was moss growing on it and little tiny flowers coming out of the moss. It was so spectacular and so beautiful. And I remember touching the moss, and I thought to myself, this is spectacular. And then I thought, what am I doing? I'm walking along the edge of a cliff, and I can see the beautiful mountains over here. And it dawned on me to look down. And so I looked down, and down below me was a humongous canyon. Huge. But what was happening is that I could feel myself walking. You know, when you walk and you can feel your hips walking? And as I took a step forward, I looked at my foot, and there was nothing there but canyon, and my other foot is on some sort of a rock, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? But as my foot sat down, another rock from nowhere came right up underneath my foot and met it. And as my other foot came forward, another rock came up and met it, creating a foundation on which for me to walk. So as I was walking along the edge of the cliff, there was support under each foot just in time for me to put my foot down. That's a big dream. It was telling me that no matter how big the canyon, no matter how big the problem might seem to us, as we walk forward in faith, the rocks will come up underneath and support our every step, as long as we are in line with good and with spirit. That's how we align ourselves. Hi Carrie, hi Angie, hi Nancy. So that was a vision or a dream, if you will, that God gave me to let me know that as long as I kept walking forward, I would always be supported and surrounded by beautiful, wonderful things, such as the edge of the cliff, which was also metaphoric for where I was in my life, because I was getting ready to step off of a metaphorical cliff in my life because this mountain was so miserable. And then I also saw the great expanse of other horizons in the distance. The mountains were beautiful horizons. Hi, Angie. So that's one of the ways that God talks to us. Another way that another circumstance or another dream that I had was I was asking, even though I'm always happy on the videos and I'm smiling on the videos, sometimes I haven't had a very good day. Sometimes things have been a bit hectic and things haven't quite lined up. But, you know, when I do these videos or I'm working, you know, the Spirit of God flows through me. And I'm able to bring the truth and the love and the light as I can to those that are watching, uplift people, and help them to feel more wonderful about themselves and where they are in their lives and not feel so alone. Because right now where we are in the earth scene, we do feel alone. A lot of us do. We could have family members. We could be sitting in an entire room of family, and we feel so alone or disheartened. So when I come on, I ask to be filled with love and light so that I can shine that out to all of you. Hopefully you'll catch it and put it in your own heart and know that it flows freely from God's Spirit or Source. It flows to all of us. All right. Another way that I experienced God talk to me, great, Susan, I'm glad you agree, is I've been praying a lot about this work that I do, because I'm slowly changing the platform and how I connect with people, because the desire is to be of more service and to help you transform your lives from something not so happy to something happier and being more in alignment with love and with light. And in doing that, I've only been offering 1 hour to 30-minute sessions and a class that I now have, and that's it. And that's kind of a thin platform. So I was praying and I was asking God, please help me to know what else I need to offer people. And I was despondent and I wasn't very happy because I felt like I wasn't doing the job that was given to me to do. And I had a dream, or perhaps a vision if you prefer. And so I'm laying in my bed and I'm actually physically asleep, but part of me, probably my spirit part, wakes up and I see 3 figures walking into my bedroom. And these 3 figures were light, illuminated, and they had on a hood. They kind of look like the stereotypical monk, that would wear the brown hood and cloak, and then they'd put their hands together like this, and the cloak would cover it up, stereotypical guys. And then their hoods came down to about here, so all I could see was their mouths and their chins. And they were very illuminated, very bright. And there was 3 of them, and they came and stood at the foot of my bed. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, who are these guys? Or gals, as the case may be. And when I felt their presence, I knew it was a beautiful, loving existence of a presence. And they had a message for me. And the message was, don't worry. Because I'd been worrying about my job and doing a better job and providing more service. And then one of them came over closer to me and put their finger into my rib, and they said, love life. Enjoy life. And then they were gone. And I woke up. And when I woke up, I could still feel a little imprint in between my ribs, like somebody really had poked me, and it kind of hurt. But that was another way that I feel God was talking to me, telling me that I'm doing the work I need to do, that I'm growing as I need to grow, and I'm being of service the best that I can and providing what I can to those who are ready to receive it. That's what I'm doing. And for me to enjoy life and to laugh and to have fun in spite of everything, right? Sometimes we have bills that drag us down. Sometimes we have relationships that drag us down. Sometimes everything doesn't go right. Like in the last couple of days, I've had more frustrations than I can handle, and I'm done. But yet, there's more coming. So that's how we can talk to God. God will talk to us in ways we don't expect. Like for me tonight, I just shared dreams because that's something that happens for me. Perhaps there's visions. Perhaps there's other things. Does anybody have any questions? If you could post them in the feed. Thank you, Susan. You're helpful. Thank you. I appreciate it. I do try. Oh, there's the word try. So I'll wait just a minute to see if anybody has questions. Okay. If you're just taking this in and digesting it, but it's making sense to you, if you could click the like button or the hearts or the smiley face or the frowny face and let me know that you're out there, that would be great. I just want to make sure that we're connecting. Great, thank you. Okay, so that's how God talks to us. That's how he talks to me anyway. Let's see here. Tanya says, similar experience, but I was wide awake. Just a few moments, a figure of a white cloak appeared in my bathroom door. It was prayer prior, but as quick as it appeared, it left. Yes. Yes, excellent. That is so awesome. I bet it's a little scary, though, when you see them in real time. Good for you, Tanya. So the other thing that's been happening with my clients that I've seen this last week, and some of you have written me private messages to express that you feel like right now you're not very connected to God. You feel like there's some kind of a cap over your head and you're stuck, and you're not able to connect for some reason, or you feel lonely, or you feel depressed, or you're in fear a lot. So if that is happening for you right now, and you would like to shift that reality for yourself, then I'd ask that you go to toolsofenergyprotection.com. That's my personal website. Click on contact I believe it is Work With Me. Click on Work With Me and click on Sessions and book yourself a time, and we'll get together. We're going to find out what's going on for you. We're going to answer your questions. Why am I stuck? Why do I feel like God's not talking to me? You know, perhaps there's an energy block for you, because I work with energy blocks, and some people will bring so much energy upon themselves, or other people will put it upon themselves, that it keeps them down and suppressed, and you can change that energetic frequency very quickly, take your power back, raise your vibration, and get you back on your feet so you can go forward in your communication and your walk of life. So unless there's any questions, I'm going to give it a minute, because sometimes the feed is a little slow. I can actually see that over here. And if anybody has any questions, I'm going to give it just a minute and see if we get any questions I can answer. And while I'm waiting on the questions, I'd also like you to know that there's my little angel laughing. I would also like you to know that next week I want to talk a little bit more about self-love, because I think that is such an important topic that people struggle with. They really aren't quite sure how to love themselves. They find themselves doing the same thing over and over again. They find themselves with the same kind of personality type in their life. They get rid of these people, and then there's a new person who's got that same energy, that same toxicity, that same poison for themselves. And then we really let it bother ourselves, instead of saying, hey, you know, this is not the person I want in my life, and someone comes back and they say the same kind of things to us. We really take it personally. We're like, what's wrong with me? How come I keep drawing the same kind of people to me over and over again? And then we ask, you know, when people say nasty things to us, why are we so hurt? You know, why can't we just brush it off and know that that's really about them and not about us? So next Tuesday here at 7:30 Mountain Time, I'm going to jump back on for Facebook Live and talk about self-love. So I would like to ask you all for something, please, and that is, if you know anybody who is hurting emotionally and keep having the same kind of people in their lives over and over and over, would you ask them to join us? Either share this video with them, share the link with them here on Facebook Live if you're on Facebook, and know that I'm also going to post it on my YouTube channel. If you want to find the replays on YouTube, I've got one on there about children and why they're afraid of different things, and a whole bunch of other topics that I've done over time. And if you would like to access them in an easy place where they're all there, go to toolsofenergyprotection.com, click on Contact, scroll down to the YouTube channel, click on YouTube, and then click Subscribe. And then you'll get a notice when all the videos are out, because I know some people don't like Facebook and they don't want to be on Facebook, so they would rather be on YouTube. So that is there for them. And then of course I have my weekly blog. So if you want to know more about the energy shifts for this week and what's coming up, please go to toolsofenergyprotection.com in about an hour, and I'll have that available for you. Thank you so much for coming. I am so glad that each and every one of you joined me. I'm so very blessed to have you come. And again, please remember to share these things with your friends. My desired outcome is to reach as many people as possible, to share the good word, to share God's love, and to help them feel better about themselves. So happy 4th of July. Please, everybody, just think about your freedoms that you have, your freedoms to choose, you know, your freedom to be able to drive your own car and to live in your own house and choose your own job. You know, these are the freedoms that the people, the men and women that have sacrificed by being in our military for us over the years have helped us to keep this freedom that was established here in the United States. And it is such a great honor to have that freedom. So make sure that you're very thankful for that tomorrow. Also reach out to family and friends. If you know somebody who's single, or you know somebody who's shut in, like a widow or an orphan, or perhaps there's a child that that needs a little joy, please reach out to them and just wish them a happy 4th of July. It only takes a moment to pick up the phone. It only takes a moment to take maybe a basket of fruit by elderly person's home who can't get out. It just takes so little time to put joy and love in someone else's heart, and especially if you're hurting. Anyways, Deanna with toolsoferenergyprotection.com. Have a great and wonderful night.